This is the story of Newark, New Jersey, America's most important port, and the birthplace of container shipping, a city that somehow remains invisible, a city that literally invented modern global trade yet cannot shake a reputation forged in the flames of 1967. Despite billions in investment and crime at 60-year lows, Newark fights an uphill battle against perceptions, while quietly moving $200 billion in goods through its docks every year. Most Americans could not find Newark on a map, yet everything they buy probably passed through it. While New York gets the glamour, and Manhattan gets the headlines, Newark does the heavy lifting. The Port of New York and New Jersey, operated by the Port Authority of New York and New Jersey, which sounds like it belongs to both states equally, operates almost entirely on Newark's side of the Hudson River. In 2024, the port handled 8.7 million cargo containers, measured in TEU, or 20-foot equivalent units, an 11% jump from the previous year, making it the busiest port in the United States by volume. That's more containers than Los Angeles, more than Long Beach, more than any other American port. The irony cuts deeper than geography. On April 26, 1956, a converted oil tanker called the Ideal X sailed from Port Newark carrying 58 metal boxes that changed the world forever. These were not just any boxes, they were the world's first shipping containers, the rectangular steel modules that now carry 90% of global trade. The man behind this revolution was Malcolm McLean, a trucking company owner who got tired of watching longshoremen spend entire days manually loading and unloading cargo piece by piece. McLean had been thinking about this problem since 1937, when he sat in his truck for an entire day at a New Jersey port, watching workers laboriously transfer goods by hand. He wondered why there was not a truck trailer that could be lifted directly onto a ship without anyone touching the contents. The economics were staggering. Hand-loading a ship cost $5.86 per ton in 1956 dollars. Using containers, it cost just 16 cents per ton, a savings of 36 times that made global trade profitable on an unprecedented scale. The first container ship's departure from Newark was not celebrated by everyone. Freddie Fields, an official with the International Longshore Association, watched the Ideal X sail away and reportedly said, "I'd like to sink that son of a bitch." He understood what McLean's invention meant for dock workers. Thousands of jobs would disappear as automation replaced manual labor. But the world had changed, and Newark was ground zero. When McLean died decades later, container ships around the globe blew their horns in tribute. Yet ask most Americans about the birthplace of modern shipping, and they will guess Los Angeles or Seattle or maybe Baltimore. Newark's gift to the world went largely unacknowledged, a pattern that would define the city for generations. Understanding Newark's invisibility requires understanding its position as New York City's unglamorous sibling. Newark Liberty International Airport is commonly called one of New York's 3 airports, despite being firmly in New Jersey. The port carries the official name Port of New York and New Jersey, but most operations happen on the Newark-Elizabeth side. Even the metropolitan area's name, Greater New York, relegates Newark to supporting status in its own backyard. This shadow existence became tragic after July 12, 1967, when a routine traffic stop ignited 4 days of riots that fundamentally altered Newark's trajectory. The arrest of African-American cab driver John Smith outside a housing project sparked violence that left 26 people dead, 700 injured, and caused damage equivalent to over $100 million in today's money. The Newark riots weren't just about police brutality or economic inequality. They represented decades of frustration boiling over in a city where systemic racism had created powder keg conditions. The aftermath was swift and devastating. Middle-class residents, both black and white, fled Newark en masse. Businesses shuttered or relocated. Investment dried up. The city that had once been a thriving industrial center became a symbol of urban decay, and that reputation proved remarkably resistant to change. Even as crime statistics improved dramatically in subsequent decades, the perception of Newark as dangerous and dysfunctional persisted in the American imagination. By the 1990s, Newark was caught in a vicious cycle. Poor reputation meant less investment, which meant fewer opportunities, which reinforced the poor reputation. The port continued operating and expanding, but its economic benefits felt disconnected from the residential neighborhoods where poverty and unemployment remained high. Newark was powering global commerce, while many of its own residents struggled to find work. The political turning point began with Kenneth Gibson, who in 1970 became Newark's first black mayor. He declared that wherever America's cities are going, Newark will get there first. Gibson's administration helped stabilize the city during its most turbulent decades, creating the foundation for the revival that would eventually follow. The turnaround began gradually, then accelerated. In 1997, the New Jersey Performing Arts Center opened its doors in downtown Newark, providing a cultural anchor that began attracting visitors back to the city center. But the real catalyst came in 2007, when Audible, the audiobook company, made a surprising decision to move its headquarters from Wayne, New Jersey, to downtown Newark. Audible's founder, Don Katz, saw opportunity where others saw risk. Newark offered proximity to New York City, excellent transportation infrastructure, and significantly lower real estate costs. Katz believed in investing in communities rather than simply extracting value from them. Since establishing its Newark headquarters, Audible has generated nearly $2 billion in annual economic impact for the city and surrounding region. The company did not stop at creating jobs for its own employees. Through Newark Venture Partners, Audible has invested $55 million in over 100 startup companies, with more than 50% founded by women or people of color. This innovation ecosystem is further strengthened by institutions like Rutgers University Newark, which provides both a talent pipeline and research partnerships for the growing tech sector. The goal, according to Katz, is creating the next dozen Audibles in Newark, building a genuine innovation economy rather than simply transplanting one successful company. This investment philosophy aligns with the vision of Mayor Ras Baraka, who was sworn in as Newark's 40th mayor in 2014. Baraka brings a unique perspective to city leadership. He is the son of poet and activist Amiri Baraka. He appeared on Lauryn Hill's Grammy-winning album, The Miseducation of Lauryn Hill, and he first ran for mayor at just 24 years old, though he was not elected until 30 years later. Under Baraka's leadership, Newark has achieved remarkable statistical improvements. Violent crime has decreased by 60% since he took office. The city replaced 23,000 lead service lines at no cost to residents. Homelessness dropped by 57%. In 2023, President Barack Obama recognized Newark as one of only 4 cities nationwide designated as a model community for violence reduction by the My Brother's Keeper Alliance. These achievements represent more than just numbers. They reflect a fundamental shift in how Newark approaches development and public safety. Rather than relying solely on traditional policing, the city invested $3 million in community-based violence interrupters and therapeutic intervention services. This community-focused approach helped reduce homicides to 39 in 2024, compared to over 100 annually during Newark's most violent periods. The port, meanwhile, has experienced its own renaissance. The 2016 expansion of the Panama Canal allowed larger ships to reach the East Coast, and the 2017 elevation of the Bayonne Bridge removed height restrictions that had limited vessel size. These infrastructure improvements, combined with Newark's strategic location and modern facilities, helped the port capture market share from West Coast competitors. Today, Port Newark can handle 9 vessels, each able to carry 14,000 containers simultaneously across 5 modern terminals. A single crane has the strength to lift an empty Boeing 757. An estimated 400,000 jobs depend directly or indirectly on port operations, and the facility generates economic activity throughout the region as goods move by truck and rail to distribution centers along the New Jersey Turnpike. But Newark's revival story is not without controversy. The city is experiencing what researchers call jobless gentrification, significant investment in market-rate housing and amenities that increase property values without creating corresponding employment opportunities for existing residents. Median home values have nearly doubled over the past decade, from $242,548 in 2015 to over $465,000 in 2024. This gentrification takes a particular form in Newark. Unlike traditional urban neighborhoods where new residents gradually displace longtime inhabitants, Newark's development often creates self-contained luxury buildings with their own gyms, theaters, and playrooms. Residents can live, work, and play without meaningfully engaging with the broader community. Critics worry this creates a two-tier city where expensive developments cater to commuters, while longtime residents face rising costs and displacement pressure. Corporate investors have been particularly aggressive, accounting for 47% of residential home sales in predominantly black neighborhoods of Newark's South and West wards during a recent 3-year period. When developers proudly announce at planning board meetings that their projects target men in suits from New York and Hoboken, community members understandably feel excluded from Newark's prosperity. Meanwhile, major corporations like Prudential Financial, which has maintained its global headquarters in Newark since 1892, demonstrate the potential for corporate anchors to contribute to long-term community stability rather than short-term speculation. Mayor Baraka has attempted to address these concerns through policy. His affordable housing ordinance requires developers of buildings with 30 or more units to set aside 20% as affordable housing. The city created an anti-gentrification commission to ensure equitable growth. As Baraka puts it, Newark must not become another Brooklyn. We're committed to achieving equitable growth so that the benefits of new development and investment are shared by all Newarkers. But balancing development with affordability remains challenging. The city needs investment to fund improvements in schools, infrastructure, and public safety. Yet too much investment too quickly can price out residents who weathered Newark's difficult decades and deserve to benefit from its revival. It's a delicate equilibrium that many American cities struggle to achieve. Newark's reputation problem persists despite dramatic improvements. Crime statistics show the city is actually safer than most American cities of comparable size, yet perception lags behind reality. Public Safety Director Emmanuel Miranda, who grew up in Newark during its most violent period, notes the transformation. When I grew up, crime was rampant, and the city had a national reputation for robberies and murder, with over 100 homicides per year. It's definitely so much safer now. The persistence of negative perceptions is not entirely mysterious. The 1967 riots created lasting trauma that affected not just Newark residents, but the national imagination. Media coverage of urban violence often uses Newark as shorthand for urban decay, even when reporting on problems in other cities. Breaking through decades of negative associations requires time and sustained positive developments. Transportation infrastructure offers another lens through which to understand Newark's paradoxes. The city is already one of America's most transit-accessible places. 44% of renter households do not own cars, the second highest rate nationally after New York City. Newark Penn Station connects the city to Manhattan in 20 minutes via multiple rail lines. The airport provides global connectivity, and highway access is unparalleled. Yet these transportation assets also reinforce Newark's role as a pass-through location rather than a destination. Business travelers fly through Newark Liberty but stay in Manhattan hotels. Commuters ride trains through Newark but live in suburban towns. Goods move through the port but get distributed to warehouses throughout the region. Newark facilitates movement while remaining largely invisible to the people and products passing through. Recent major projects suggest this dynamic might be changing. The $2.7 billion renovation of Newark Airport's Terminal A, completed in 2023, created a world-class facility that positions Newark as a premium travel hub rather than just a convenient alternative to LaGuardia and JFK. The $336 million redevelopment of the New Jersey Performing Arts Center campus, which broke ground in 2024, will create a mixed-use cultural district designed to keep visitors in Newark rather than simply attracting them for single events. Even more ambitious is the planned $1.8 billion University Hospital Facility Master Plan, which will unfold over approximately 10 years starting in 2025. Combined with Great Point Studios' $125 million film and television production facility, these investments suggest Newark is building the infrastructure for a more diverse, knowledge-based economy. The port continues expanding as well. Port Newark Container Terminal secured a lease extension through 2050 and is investing $500 million in infrastructure improvements over 12 years. These investments bet on continued growth in East Coast trade, particularly as supply chain disruptions make shorter shipping distances more attractive to importers. Looking ahead, Newark faces the classic challenge of American cities: how to grow while preserving affordability and community character. The billions flowing into development projects represent genuine opportunities to improve residents' quality of life. Better schools, safer streets, more cultural amenities, and expanded economic opportunities benefit everyone. But rapid change can also displace longtime residents and alter neighborhood character in ways that feel like cultural erasure. Mayor Baraka is exploring a run for New Jersey governor. That potential gubernatorial campaign adds another dimension to Newark's story. If successful, he would become the first Newark mayor to win statewide office, potentially raising the city's profile, while also creating leadership transition challenges. The fundamental question remains whether Newark can finally step out of New York's shadow to claim recognition for its genuine achievements. The city that invented container shipping and powers East Coast trade deserves acknowledgement for its contributions to American prosperity. The community that has reduced violent crime by 60% while maintaining affordability deserves respect for its progress. Newark's story reveals broader truths about American urban development. Cities can change dramatically while public perceptions lag behind. Economic growth does not automatically translate to shared prosperity. Geographic proximity to major metropolitan centers creates both opportunities and challenges. Infrastructure investments generate benefits that often remain invisible to those who do not directly use them. Newark demonstrates that urban revival is possible, but complicated. Crime can be reduced, businesses can be attracted, and communities can be strengthened. But these achievements require sustained commitment, community engagement, and policies that ensure existing residents benefit from growth rather than being displaced by it. The cranes at Port Newark continue lifting containers from ships that arrive from around the globe, continuing the work Malcolm McLean started nearly 70 years ago. The goods inside those containers will reach stores across America, powering commerce and consumption in ways most people never consider. Newark remains essential yet invisible, powerful yet underappreciated, a city that changes the world while fighting to change its own reputation. That reputation is slowly shifting. Vincent Baglivo of the Ironbound Business Improvement District captures the sentiment many longtime observers share. People who haven't been here or turned their backs on Newark are missing out on the most amazing urban transformation. The question is whether the rest of America will notice before Newark completes its remarkable journey from riot-scarred symbol of urban decay to model of equitable development and economic innovation. The port keeps moving, the planes keep flying, the containers keep coming and going, and Newark keeps working, as it always has, to prove that a city's past does not have to define its future.